everybody, welcome back to another episode of Surrounded by Bourbon with me, Phil Crawford, aka Cosby Whiskey. Today is episode 43 and today we are in potentially the smokiest part of Islay and we are looking at the rather infamous Laphroaig, and this is their 2021 Càirdeas release, which was the Càirdeas Pedro Jimenez casks. So before I get into this particular dram, let's talk a little bit about Laphroaig. Part of the Càirdeas trio down in the south part of the island of Islay. So we have the Peat big hitters of Laphroaig, then Lagavulin, and then Ardbeg, all kind of within about a mile and a half of each other. I have a sort of love-hate relationship with Laphroaig. I remember the first time that I tried Laphroaig was 2005. I was at a hotel bar. The guy I was with, we were trying to decide, hey, what are we going to drink? And I picked out Laphroaig 10 because I had heard so many amazing things about it. We tried it and I was nearly sick because I was like, who has just bottled TCP? Which, if you're American watching this and you don't know what it is, it's an ointment that we use for cuts and grazes, like an antiseptic, and it has a very distinct aroma, a very distinct sort of taste as well. So I'm not sure what the American version would be. Maybe someone can let me know in the comments. But yeah, I just couldn't believe that people actually liked that style of whiskey. Fast forward a few years, I went through trying a few different, more gentle peated whiskies, shall we say, the likes of Coila, for example, also Talisker 10, Highland Park, 12-year-old, and they kind of started bringing me around to what peated whiskies can actually bring to the table, and kind of converted me. And then all of a sudden I sort of started to fall in love with Laphroaig and that big peaty punch to the face that you get from Laphroaig, that it's kind of synonymous with. However, I think that today's Laphroaigs are definitely of varying quality, and for me personally, the Càirdeas range has been okay. Well, better than okay. It's been a pretty good place to shop actually. Although they did release a 15-year-old Càirdeas in 2017, bottled at 43%, which was frankly abysmal. But their core range is not something that I would buy much of now, bar the quarter cask, which I think is pretty decent. I did buy recently the 10-year-old over here, which is bottled at 43% ABV, 86 proof, rather than the 40% or 80 proof back home. And I will review this. I'm going to ruin that review by saying that this is wildly disappointing. It's just thin, not enjoyable. I kind of regret spending 50 bucks on it. And here's the crazy thing, that was a $20 discount. This is normally $70 over here. I can't see me buying that again at that kind of price. So like I said, I think the Càirdeas range is kind of where it's at, or the other form of Laphroaig that I would buy is the 10-year-old cask strength, which honestly I think is still worth the money. Even over here it's about $110, so what's that, about, I don't know, 90 bucks or 90 pounds. You know, it's a bit more expensive than it would be back home in Ireland. I've seen it on Amazon on the sales for like 55, which is an amazing price. But yeah, if I was buying this over here, it's the 10-year-old cask strength all the time for me, or maybe a Càirdeas. So I'm going to break out my mouse because in the background I actually do have the Laphroaig website up. And the reason why I did was because when I first started buying the Càirdeas range, they pretty much sold out very quick. The first one that I ever bought was the 2014 Amontillado, which was an absolutely gorgeous drop and probably one of my favourite Càirdeas so far. But maybe this is just a sign of the times. The 2026 has been released, matured in French oak, but on the Laphroaig website you can still get the 2019 triple wood Càirdeas. There is the 2025, there's the 2024 cask favourites, there's even the 2020 port and wine casks, and there's also still the 2022 warehouse one, which was actually a pretty decent Càirdeas. And they're all around £90, so again $110, something like that. Okay, we are back. My gimbal that holds up my phone while I'm recording decided to die. So I've had to wait a little bit, recharge it. That's show business. The show must go on. At least you know this in AI, stuff like that wouldn't happen with AI. So yeah, I was just explaining about how on the Laphroaig website there's still like a whole lot of the previous Càirdeas that are available. Interestingly, this one is not. So anyway, what do we have today? So we have the 2021 Laphroaig Cairdeas. Càirdeas in Gaelic means friendship. So whenever you buy bottles of Laphroaig, you normally get like a little booklet inside, has a QR code. You can go on the website and you can put in the codes that are inside, and they give you like little points that you can build up within the Friends of Laphroaig website, and that means that you eventually get limited access or early access to the new releases. You can pre-buy them, all that sort of stuff. Interestingly, when that started, it was something you had to like kind of continually top up your points to get the most benefits. But now it seems like as long as you've bought a few bottles, that's you for life. So maybe that's also just an indication of where Laphroaig are at this time. You know, obviously owned by Beam Suntory and big corporate whiskey brand now, maybe just not what they once were. But this is a no-age statement Laphroaig. It is thought to be around 10 years old, but no age statement, so there could be slightly younger whiskey in there. It's a triple maturation of ex-bourbon casks, 200 litre, then quarter casks, which would either be 50 or 125 litre, depending whether it was bourbon or whether it was like a sherry butt. And then these are finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry hogsheads, which are roughly 225 to 250 litre casks. So there's a bit more kind of wood interaction going on there, rather than the massive sort of 500, 600, 700 litre casks that can come with the fortified wines. So this cost, actually sorry, before I go into the price, this is bottled at 58.9%. Bit of a departure from the Càirdeas range in that regard, because whenever I started buying them in 2014, the ABV actually reflected the year that you bought them. So for example, 2014 was 51.4%, 2015 was 51.5%, and so on and so forth. So this is pretty hefty ABV wise, and as you can see from the colour, we've had some kind of active casks going on there. So price wise, this was £80, which is $105, 93 euros. Like I've said, everything that's on the website at the minute is around £90, $115. But I don't think Laphroaig actually shipped to the US. So I do know that there are a few of the Càirdeas, the lower and the cask favourites are available here in Florida in Total Wines, and they're $110. So they're kind of on the money. Anyway, let's get into the nose, less rambling, let's get into the nose, do the palate, we'll do a bit of water, see what I think, all right? So I think the nose is kind of classic Laphroaig. There's burnt embers, there's a bit of burnt rubber, there's that medicinal TCP, and at the minute the smoke is a little closed. I know the minute that I add water, the smoke is just gonna boom, come out of there. So that's kind of the interesting thing with Laphroaig. At cask strength, it doesn't always appear on the nose, at least, to be quite as peaty as it is. Then we get red berries, so there's like cranberry, bit of red currant, there's brown sugar. There's also candle mint cake, which is something specific to Yorkshire. It's kind of like an energy food that the hikers would use over there. So think of kind of like fudge, but flavored with mint. But also the texture is a little grainy, as if like the sugar hasn't all kind of dissolved. There's pine resin, there's also coffee grounds. We have stem ginger, there's molasses, there's also like some roast lamb going on. There's an oakiness to this as well. Not over the top oaky, but it's still there, and then also dried rose hips. So all in all, a very engaging nose. Something I could nose all night, to be quite honest. Palate, let's get into the palate. Oh, so there is a kick to this. It's spicy, it's peppery, there's a load of menthol. Definitely a bit of alcohol heat, and also definitely a bit of that European oak spice coming through. There is plenty of peak smoke on the palate that was not apparent on the nose, but now we're getting like cherry lip sweets, there's barbecued pork ribs, balsamic glaze, we have some strawberries, then it goes citrusy, there's like lemon and lime zest, some clove. Mouthfeel wise, it's good and chewy, decent legs on the glass here. We're now getting clove, we're getting sea salt dark chocolate. There's fruit loaf in there as well, so think kind of like Christmas cake. Like there's a lot going on in this Laphroaig. Yeah, very nice indeed. Let's do a bit of water and then we'll go into the finish. So add a little bit. I think we're going to add a bit more because it is 59%. So I'm not going to drown it in water. Water is definitely something you have to add to your own taste because you can kind of destroy whiskies by adding too much water. So we'll throw that in there, we'll give it a minute and I will come back to you. Alright, so we've had a bit of time with the water there. Let's see what we get on the nose. So the water just adds extra dimensions here. We're getting bacon lardons. There's like a damp pine forest. There's sweet black coffee. And then there's a herbal note like rosemary and thyme whenever you're like putting that in with maybe like a steak or roasted lamb again. Just a really deep, complex nose, lots going on. This is really good stuff from Laphroaig. And the PX actually was a travel retail exclusive that was bottled at 48%. I have owned it previously, I wasn't overly taken by it. But I think this is just kind of up in the ante a little bit. So palate wise, here we go. So now with the water, mouthfeel is still great, hasn't lost really any structure. The water gives you like a smoked ham hock flavour going on. There's some new leather, orange zest, there's menthol, a bit of fresh tobacco leaf as well. Yeah, like that. This is a very drinkable Laphroaig, I'm gonna say. Finish wise. Medium in length. You're kind of getting sherry poached dried fruit. So there's raisins and dates in here. Then they're getting that barbecued meat, that ham hock again. There's ashy smoke. There's tobacco. It's very Moorish, I have to say. Right, so kind of clear that I do enjoy this. What am I going to score this? I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I think it was close to being an 8. It was close. I just think the finish is just a little bit too short, but there is a lot going on. And definitely one of the better Laphroaigs that I've had in a while. This just reinforces to me that cask strength Laphroaig is where you need to like invest your money if you're buying official bottlings. If you're going with independents, you're probably going to get just a better experience throughout. You'll get them natural colour, non-chill filtered. Generally they'll be single cask, so you'll be limited to maybe like 200-300 bottles. I remember when I first started writing for Malt Review that one of the whiskies that I bought was one of David Stirk's, what do you call them again? Was it Creations? Anyway, it was a 6-year-old Laphroaig matured in Oloroso sherry, and it was just unbelievable. It was 50 quid a bottle or something. It was just knocked out of the park. Young, sweet peat, sherried, amazing stuff. And I used to think, why can Laphroaig not kind of replicate this? This is pretty close, I would say. A bit more expensive, but yeah, for an official bottling of Laphroaig, this is really good stuff. I still would nearly recommend the 10-year-old cask strength over this, just from past experiences. But you know, sherry and Laphroaig can work very, very well, and I think this is a good example of it. The core range, I would probably warn you off the core range, to be honest. Even the 10-year-old sherry oak does not even compete with this at all, as far as I'm concerned. It was weak, it was thin. This is not. It's pretty full-bodied and robust. One thing that is interesting though is that on the back of this bottle it does say that it's bottled at cask strength. It doesn't refer to the fact that it's natural colour or non-chill filtered. The 10-year-old cask strength does mention on the back that it is just barrier filtered, which means essentially that they get like some muslin or think of it as like a fine sieve. The cask is emptied, it catches some of the big bits of the charcoal inside, some of the wood, all that sort of stuff, but does not affect all the lovely fats and lipids and things that are inside, which gives more flavour and more body and texture to your whiskey. So there is a good chance that this has been chill filtered, especially because Laphroaig don't actually bottle anything on Islay. It goes over to mainland Scotland. And so watching a bit of Ralphie's videos recently, he has been saying that some of these brands like Laphroaig, they actually do go through the chill filtration machine just without the cold. So it still strips out some of all the like the fats and the lipids and so on. So I'll be interested whenever I open this just to see texturally as well, and flavour wise how that compares. Anyway, there you go. That has been episode 43. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment so we can have a bit of discourse. Obviously, you know, if you can subscribe, my channel also has a buy me a coffee link, so if you would like to support the channel by giving me a little donation, that would also be awesome. But anyway, thank you very much for watching tonight. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. Have a great night. Slàinte.